Hello there, my name is Himnish Goel, and I welcome you all to the Everyday Consultants podcast show, where we talk about the uncertain trajectory it takes to stepping into the shoes of a consultant's mind. From adapting to constantly learn through research and developing their own theories, objectives, and opinions for advising businesses from the area of expertise to communicate the fine line between an SME and polymath. Thanks for taking the time to join me, and let's tune into today's episode of learning more about feelings of feelings in a time-given space. So for today's topic, I think it makes more sense to go over what, as a consultant, we tend to feel and what is the feeling. A lot of the times we go into a space of environment where, and this can be from a life situation or a career situation, in where we think of the feeling towards that project or the feeling towards what we're trying to learn is the right feeling to what will output as a result, whether that be, in this example, a learning of that subject, which sometimes doesn't end up happening because either you think you're not too focused, or you're not in the moment, or you're just not perfect for the role. Well, it's the game of feelings that consultants have to run a lot of their service model on. Because as consultants, we are providing the vision. The vision comes to creative innovation. Creativity is an emotional expression which translates into feelings. And the only way to express that through a medium that helps you understand when it's being placed is if you are really enhanced to it from a very basic approach. If you're learning something about AI, if you're learning something about cloud, if you're learning something about data analytics, if you're learning something about agile and automation, anything around those sectors, you have to find it would be possible to find something that's more of a hands-on experience from like actual tools that you're working with, but it's not impossible to find tools where you can visually write that for you, or have a way, or find person can show that on a piece of paper. Because folks that's worked with servers have a much better understanding of how is it actually being interpreted, because visually they know what they're going through. They visually know what they're going through in terms of how it's being set up, or like what is it entails to get this going. Because of the pandemic, having a lot of jobs becoming remote, it's become hard for new hires to visualize, okay, this is what a server looks like, this is what the migrations are doing, and this is what point A is going to point B. Because unless you don't physically see it, or you physically put the chords, it feels like a bunch of words being spit out from another person's experience, because you've not experienced it yourself. And a lot of the folks that have done the degrees in the pandemic, a lot of those courses will also remote, unfortunately, or hybrid. And because of that, those courses that were supposed to have the hands-on experience had the vice versa of that instead. So presentations, documents, Excels are all great. Excels have its own learning for data mining, and PowerPoints have its own learning of presenting information in a creative way, or documents have its own meaning in terms of writing the business case or the important causes that need to be descripted and detailed. But actually putting that, but outside of those word skills those Microsoft Office skills we have, the actual learning to what we're meant to do, which is like 95% of the work to what you've been assigned to do based on your role, that has to be very clear to you in order to move forward. And if that's not as clear as it's supposed to be, it becomes even harder for you to even see it from that lens. Because think about it. If I were to say, just taking a simple lemonade example, that you just put a few lemons, you squeeze it, you put the salt, the sugar, you mix it, you make sure you put the ice cubes, not too much. Or same thing with washing clothes. You put the colors one separately, you put the pink and white separately, you put the extra load separately. Those things that someone else is saying is based on their experience from them actually holding the glass and actually doing the thing in person. Whereas the other individual, not so much. And so because of that, they're not able to wrap their head around, okay, so if this is this, and this is this, then what is this? You know, they've already figured out those questions. Whereas you're just standing there thinking, okay, so you're supposed to squeeze this and then this. And when you go towards doing it, you mess up. It's normal with everyone because you've never done it. And after repetition of failure, you end up getting better at it. And so you might be thinking, how does this have to do with feelings of feelings? This has exactly to do with feelings of feelings because you are feeling an in-person experience of not being available. And the feeling of you having to know everything remotely with all the information that's available while also being bombarded by it. And not being able to puzzle those two comes very hard because some things are very helpful online while others are not. There is so much information of every course or description or anything you want to learn. It's great. I'm not discouraging you from not doing it. It's great to do those. But there's something between quality and quantity again. And there's something between actually doing it from someone that's pieced it together towards getting that experience to piece it yourself together versus having to find it on your own. I mean, there are going to be some problems that you have to research on your own. There's no talk about that. But there's some areas where there is no actual answer to it that you can find on the web, and you actually have to find that yourself. And sometimes either the team, your friends, your colleagues, whoever it is, friends in terms of a startup you're starting, but whoever is in that team that you're with for that project and that client, sometimes you need their input to help you take that online learning and actually put it under a hands-on experience. Because once you do it again and again and again, you get better at it. And eventually you build this level of confidence that even if there's a small tweak or there's something new you have to put in, it won't be that big of a deal. Which is why those big racks of servers and data that companies used to have, or at least in the old times, people that were working in those eras to now it being more evolved have a much better understanding of that. Okay, this is how XYZ works because they've worked with the actual hands-on machine. Like they've gone through grueling processes of making it work. And so that is the feelings of feelings at the time of given place that I'm trying to talk about. That a feeling that's not being met, to feeling that is being met, but not sure where to start in that. But the feeling that is not being met, wanting that to be met. So you have to match those becomes the biggest difficulty for consultants. And sometimes the only thing you can do as a consultant is continue to try harder to getting that feeling to becoming an actuality. By vocalizing yourself, by actually saying, this is what I need help in and this is what I would prefer to get some feedback or knowledge or anything from this candidate. So hopefully you found this episode helpful and that you were able to gain some information from today's episode. And if you know of a friend who's looking to dive into more of this consulting world, be sure to reference this podcast show to them as well. And as always, continue putting that consultant hat on. Keep on striving, keep on exploring, keep on learning. Until next time, stay tuned for the next great episode from Everyday Consultants. See ya. Please be sure to subscribe to the podcast and also leave a review of how much you enjoyed listening to Everyday Consultants. While you're at it, be sure to provide any feedback you might have on my LinkedIn posts in the comments below. And if you know of a friend who's curious about learning quick bites of information regarding the life of a consultant, then be sure to recommend my show to them or anyone that you think might benefit from listening to it. If you want to connect with me, you can find me on LinkedIn, Reddit, and Twitter by searching my name on the platform. If you're interested in looking at some of my other professional content that is currently in the works, then in that case, you can take a look at my Linktree portfolio that can be found below in the description or show notes of this episode. Don't forget to tune in to listening to all episodes of Everyday Consultants and wherever you're able to find your local podcast. Until next time, stay broad, be curious, and be passionate about listening to a conversation where knowledgeable advice gets provided about the world of consulting, about a consultant in our next episode. Peace out.